Hello, friends, and welcome to Artifact Adventure Episode 7. Now, in today's episode, start off, as always, hitting up the inn, even though I probably didn't need it. We're going to try to explore some new areas today. And there's one area you might have remembered, mentioned all the way back in the first town. A bandit named Wind supposedly has a grave near Foreign, and sure enough, here it is. You might notice that we have the Death's Path available to us. Absolutely love that. That has made the game so much quicker. Now, in the Cave of the Bandit of Wind, I don't know if you want to call it the Cave of Wind or Wind's Cave, we have this relic. Now, I had been told previously by another individual, Mr. Godzillion, who, by the way, is also playing this game. Feel free to check out his channel. His take on the game, similar to mine, but different enough. It's enough variance that I actually have learned quite a bit from watching his videos. So feel free to check him out. A little plug for him right there. He told me to be careful in this cave because there's an artifact that you can pick up that gives you a speed boost. So I think that Wind Traveler must be the one. But I'm not 100% sure. I come down here and this, you hear the sound of something breaking and then you get experience. I didn't realize it at the time, but you actually make a choice in this cave, as you do so very often in this game. The choice is to get the relic here, which is actually the speed increase by 5, so I end up giving that to my shaman, which I should have been giving it to somebody else. So this is the first mistake. The second mistake was actually going in there, because if you go in there first, the floor under you cracks, you hear something break, yada yada. You lose out on some other treasure, which I'm not sure what that other treasure is. You go downstairs and there's an empty treasure chest. It's my suspicion that if you don't get the relic, you can get the chest. If you get the chest, you can't get the relic. Or the artifact. Forgive me for calling them relics. Thinking about Final Fantasy VI. So, that cave was super direct. And we're now finished. But you might remember the kid in the town wanted to know if you found any treasure in the cave, in the bandit's cave. He said, if you find anything, bring it back, show me. So I come down here, I talk to him, and I didn't find any treasure, so I tell him no. Did you find anything? I say no, maybe it's just a legend, oh, I'm so ashamed, I can't show my face again. I tell the dad, and the dad gives me 10K for lying to the kid. I don't think I lied to the kid. He's like, I wonder what I'll be now when I grow up. If you tell him about the treasure, he says something like, I can't wait to be a bandit when I grow up. And the dad's like, why did you do that? No, I'm never going to get him to shut up. So, I didn't find any treasure. I found artifacts. I don't really consider that to be treasure. There were no treasure chests. So I told him no. I said, I didn't find anything, son. You might also remember we've got this guy here. Gave him the key. 5,000 gold, so we are rolling in the money. The money is coming fast and furious at this point. And there's really nothing to spend it on. So, I'm thinking like, I've hit the jackpot, now the game's just a gravy boat, other miscellaneous slang for money, money, money. Come down here to this cave. And it's still locked. So, that's just checking. Just check, you never know. Something broke in Wind's Cave. Maybe that was the door. We heard it all the way across the continent. Not the case. Not the case. So we've already done one full area. It's only about, what, 4 minutes in. We've already cleared Wind's Cave. That area, kind of a trash area, to be honest. It's super low level and super direct. Not really a whole lot going on there. Find a new city here, and the game is silent. No music here. So I'm bringing my talking voice down a bit to kind of fill the mood. No, it was a real shocker. I actually thought maybe the music didn't load in this area. Turns out it's just for the ambiance of the town being empty. There's actually only these 3 people that work at the inn and one old man. 1,200 for a stay at this inn. Unless they're fluffing the pillows, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. I don't think that's worth it. I can't. So expensive. This tiny little, POS town with one weapon shop that's empty, one tiny hut with an old man, and a second tiny hut that's empty. So I go back to the hometown now. That was really stupid of me, because I don't have a teleport to this area. So I go back to the hometown and drop off my goblins. There's nothing new there. I end up cutting that out because there's nothing to see. You see me travel back across the land because I didn't have enough of the jar goblins to get anything. And then down here is the mansion the old man mentioned. Of course it's a dungeon. You know, a mansion down on the coast must be a dungeon. And I actually decide to do something a little different for this. And I keep the random battles in the dungeon area. Now, I'm editing the stuff out that's not in a dungeon. I'm editing the stuff out that's the same battle you've seen a million times. But since this is a dungeon, you know, it kind of looks like, when I go back, and of course I go back and review my old videos from time to time, it looks like I just run into the place and I just own it and I just leave. It doesn't really show the progression in the dungeon, the wearing down that the enemies do to you. And you know, that's something that NES RPGs do a fantastic job of. Getting to a new dungeon is exciting. Yeah, that's cool, okay. Finding chests, new equipment, new items, maybe a little bit of story. It's all good. But the dungeon aspect of a good NES RPG, at least to me, and maybe your experience will vary, has always been, you get in and you're buff. You're like, yes, I just hit the inn, full HP. And then the dungeon slowly wears you down. And that's something that modern games don't do very well, because you get in a dungeon in a modern RPG. I'm talking like, you know, maybe PlayStation forward. So, modern in a sense that it's not as retro as this. And once you clear the dungeon, you beat the final boss, and everybody disappears. You know, the halls are empty. All the monsters leave. The final boss's aura, or his stank, is what's drawing in the monsters from the area. And then once he's dead, his stank like vanishes. Which you think would get worse if he's dead, but you know. Let's not think about that too much. Once he's gone, the area becomes clear. Or the alternative is that once you beat him, hey, that was a really tough battle. Let's go back to town. Okay. And then you're back in town. But in the classics, the Dragon Quest era dungeons don't clear. And getting through them, you know, that's half the battle. Getting out of them is the other half. Well, this game does a good job of emulating that. So I kind of wanted to show how we get beat down. Not in a single battle, not in one encounter, but gradually. Especially because at this point, we don't really have a good heal spell. We've got one heal everybody for 35 or 40 HP, and that's it. Nothing else. So, as I've been talking here, I've been exploring all the corners of this mansion, and every corner has a pentagram key. So you get 4 pentagram keys total. We also picked up the piece of paper, the Cuomo, or the Tsomo, if it's Chinese, the C is pronounced like TS, Tsu. If it's Japanese, I think it's just pronounced like a hard C, K. So, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but that's the name of the city that we were at. The one with the $1,200 inn. The mansion actually doesn't have a name, and you can't teleport directly to it. So, we picked up that. We can go back to the city at any time, which kind of, I guess, is your hint. If you're a little bit of you're not really paying much attention to what the old man said about everybody in the village coming to the mansion and then never coming back. By the way, weird new enemy here. It's the only time I see this warped plant. And he's kind of a tricky guy. His sprite is bigger, obviously, than the normal plants. And he doesn't hit you for much, but he slows you down. He hits everybody. Kind of a pain. We end up losing our main guy right as we're about to exit. He ends up biting it, which means we can't use his King's Return. But we just, you know, use one of the many warp papers to get back to a city to revive him. He's the most expensive man to bring back, and I'm not sure if that's because he's a warrior class, or if I had surmised, or maybe I shouldn't say surmised, as I had suspected earlier, because his HP is the highest. And the resurrection cost is some kind of formula where you take the amount of HP times the level that they're at, or some formula that basically makes the HP a big factor in the expense. Or maybe it's just something simple like HP times 3. That's how much it costs to bring him back. I'm not sure. So, I spent some time here sorting items. Taking a look. And I think we can probably clear that area. So I head back there. Of course, you know, you don't want to leave a place like that unfinished. Come here in the daytime. He still says the people were invited to the mansion. He doesn't tell you anything new. Now, I found the people. I wanted to be like, hey, buddy, I found the people. They're all asleep. It's a little strange. Everybody's sleeping. But he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to hear about it. He's like, unless you bring the people back, I ain't talking to you anymore. Typical old man, you know. Figure, if we haven't finished the job, he doesn't want to talk about it. So we head back in. And there are a couple places we have yet to explore. Straight up. And we find the doors we can use the pentagram keys on. I start to check the bookshelves, but bookshelves have never had any items in them up to this point. So I say, forget it. It's not worth it. We did break the key when we opened the door, so you do need to have 4 keys to open all 4 doors. And you do get enough. This isn't a quote-unquote choice in the game where you have to pick which door to open. You know, a blind choice, effectively, where you're not sure which is the right one, and you don't really have any agency in the decision. Which was kind of the problem I had in Wynn's Cave earlier in the episode. You don't realize you're making a choice when you go into that relic room. You know, it just happens. We also get a staff here. Whirlwind staff. You don't find very many staffs, so it's nice to give Shams a little boost. Now, unfortunately, well, I should mention, that's the first upgrade he's gotten since the beginning of the game. Level 15, and he found his level 2 weapon, basically. I'm not sure if that's because of choices I've made, if there have been staffs I've missed up to this point, but it's surprising that everybody else has gotten so many upgrades, so many improvements, and he's gotten nothing. But anyway, that staff is short-lived. You know, don't get too used to that staff, because times are changing, we're heading off to new cities, we're finding new shops, and we're loaded. Oh, are we ever loaded. We've got so much money. We got money in the bank. Ooh. So, no reason to hold on to it. Spend it, spend it, spend it. Dollar bill. So, at this point, we've cleared up 2 of the keys. There's still 2 keys left. And the dungeon is wearing me down. My advice to people that go through this game would be don't expect to clear a dungeon the first time you enter it. It makes so much sense in this game to do a little bit of exploring, leave, hit the inn, hit the gym, power yourself up, take some protein powder. No, just hit the inn and then come back. It really does. The game heavily rewards doing it in stages. So we get here, in this pentagram key, and then I see a room down there with all the chests. And I'm like, I don't know, that kind of looks like a trap or something. That's a little suspicious. Turns out that's not a pentagram key door. You can't open that with the pentagram key. I kind of went through here to check. I'm kind of, you know, I'm hitting an A on the ground. This looks like the place a game would hide a staircase. Doesn't it? There's a little, you know, it's a dead end. There's water, there's flowers, there's grass in the middle of a mansion. Concrete everywhere. And then you've got this grassy area. It screams secret. I couldn't find anything. Now, I might have to come back, because that looks like the kind of thing where you talk to somebody in town. They say, like, hey, you know, on a full moon, there's a staircase by a lake in a house somewhere. You know, and you're like, oh, yeah, of course. I know exactly what you're talking about. Not. But then you kind of, you start to put the pieces together. You figure it out. More bookshelves. And here we have, you suddenly feel drowsy. If you continue, you'll never be able to open your eyes again. So, there's some kind of, like, aura of sleepy doom. Like, it's like a sleepy doom aura. You can't get through there. You can't get through there. So, you gotta find something. And, you know, as is the case in these games, usually this thing you need is somewhere in the castle that you're in. We're starting to get a little worn down, I should say. Our MP's getting low, but we push on, of course. Of course. Because I never turn back until we're teleported to the inn. One guy alive with 1 HP. No, that's not true. I'll probably, you know, I'll figure it out. So, 2 more areas. I decided to take the bottom one first. And I have no idea why I get up to the top door and I'm like, nah, let's go down first. I just had a good feeling about down. Going down is always good. Take it from me. 2,000 gold, more money. And up here, the Waking Scroll. A scroll that removes a magical seal. Sounds like just what we need. We've got here the Power of the Storm. A level 2 Thunder Magic. Thunder Mouse was level 1, did a little damage. This one does some damage. It does more damage. I think of it like Thunder and Thundera and Thunderaga. This is like the Thundera. It's like level 2. Hits the group. Costs a little more, but you know, when you're good to spend, you might as well spend a little more to have something nice. If you know what I mean. So at this point, we're out of MP on the healer. It seems like a good time to kind of regroup and then go fight the boss. So I decide that before we fight the boss, we're going to do a little regroup session. Heal up, make sure we're ready. Pretty sure there's a boss up there, but you know, you're not 100% sure. You never really know in this game if there's a boss there or not. So I just want to go ahead and say at this point, thank you so much for watching. Feel free, if you like what you're seeing, to subscribe so we can get through this series together and find one of the 70 endings that are awaiting us. Like the video if this is something you're interested in. Feel free to check out Mr. Gazillion's video as well. His videos as well. Feel free to scroll down and check out my Patreon page if that's something you're interested in. And until next time, friends, take care and stay classy. I'll see you soon.